Is
Is that what that means?
that
Okay.
right there.
Okay. Then it means that it is time to rip off the mask and get to the task. It's time for the rotation on Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning, here in the great Ybor City where it all began. I am Gary Stein, your political director of Suncoast Normal, along with my co-host, Carlos Ermida.
Man, okay, we got the wrong title for this show. Everybody's gonna think that Justin's on the show today, but whatever.
Well, Justin, we love you, but you're not here, so we can't give you credit
but
this time.
but happy Easter, everybody.
There you go. And just below me here, and from the Beltway, in his Camino de Jesus, we have our executive director, Christopher, the name you know, Kano.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing this morning? It's a beautiful morning.
It is a fantastic morning. I'm getting off of a week of matzah, which is good because I'm the Jew in this triad, this triumphate, and I actually brought my chocolate matzah today, which is the official intersection between Easter and Passover, because you guys worship chocolate and we suffer through matzah, so that works out just well.
So what's that taste like? I like chocolate.
I will give you some. You can eat some on air.
Ooh.
Of course, this does mean that you will be officially baptized.
Oh, really? Does
Again.
this mean that does this mean that I'm officially Jewish?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah. God may think otherwise.
Well, look,
I can see why you would want the chocolate around it.
Yes, because matzah is one of those few great foods that taste almost exactly the same as the box.
It is kind of like chocolate covered cardboard.
And
I've never had matzah before.
And believe it or not, it is not made from the blood of Christian children.
It's good.
Because other would make it salty. You see,
because contrary to popular belief, atheists such as myself do not eat babies.
Only satanic Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Carlos, you at one point were Catholic like myself. What do you think? We should switch the communion wafers to chocolate covered matzah. That'll get more people in the pews, right? Chocolate and wine. I mean, if you want to get more people in the church, chocolate and wine is a great draw, you know?
That'd be good because if Jesus was real, he was most definitely black. So a chocolate like wafer would be great.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you.
I think that's a little bit more accurate historically.
Well, they did have a Seder at the White House this last year, a virtual one. Which was very nice because they always follow the Easter egg roll over in DC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Last Supper was essentially a Passover Seder, right, Gary? So
it was, in fact, the first night of the Seder. Yes.
Yeah. So
Great
that
timing.
So in looking at the Passover holidays, the Easters, the spring holidays, if you will. Passover and Easter tend to coincide within a week of each other, depending on how the Gregorian and the Jewish calendars line up. But that being said, a lot of people ask, well, can you smoke weed in the spring holidays? For those who are more religiously inclined, those who follow kashrut law, those who are very devout Catholics and such, and there's been some rulings by some rabbis and other religious leaders on this, in that cannabis is not a grain. Cannabis is is something that essentially is kosher, and there are some strains that I think people should know about that are perfect for this time of year.
Oh, do tell us, Christopher.
Yeah. So one in particular is God Bud. So just, starting out, just writing and calling it what it is. And God Bud is actually an indica strain that's a mix of Hawaiian and purple skunk. And I mean, it gives you a nice sedative high, but it has, tropical flavors with a nice berry undertone, a little bit of lavender, a little bit of pine in there. Those terps really mix very well. And so it's very good for medical marijuana patients who are looking to cure insomnia, especially if you have chronic debilitating diseases that keep you up at night. And God Bud originally came from Canada. It was started out calling BC God Bud back in the day.
So then the Canadians are not godless.
Canadians, care so much about their weed, they named it after the Almighty. So now for our more Christian-oriented crowd, Holy Grail is very popular right now. In Colorado, you're seeing it pop up here on the East Coast, and this is a hybrid strain that's a mixture of OG and kosher Kush. And I'm going to get to kosher Kush in a second, but this is, Holy Grail. I've had it myself. It gives you a mellow and relaxing high. It has, spicy and citrusy aromas from its terpenes. And it actually won the 2011 High Times Cannabis Cup. And it's one of the top strains out there right now. So check out
strain, Batman. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So check out the Holy Grail. But, I want to, I'm going to skip the next one and go to kosher Kush because we touched on it. Kosher Kush is been actually blessed by a rabbi before, and it did win Best Indica in 2010 and 2011 at the High Times Cup. And it is one of those OG, Kush related strains. It has a nice, rich earthy smell. So, Carlos, if you want to flash the links on the screen for folks, they could check out these strains, see if they're available in their OG market or legacy market, if you will. We don't want to use the term black market because, one, why does the market have to be black if there's something wrong with it, right? We got to get away from these connotations that have racial undertones to them. But I like the OG market, the original market, the legacy
illicit market.
See, depending on where you're at, it could be technically legal to gift someone cannabis. You just have to purchase stickers. I have a lovely sticker collection. This is my Zigzag Man sticker that I have on my water bottle here that came with a complimentary eighth. So, and then, looking forward to everybody here on Easter. How about we just get to this next amazing strain? It's called Jesus. Or Jesus for our
Jesus Cristo.
Yes, Jesus for our Spanish-speaking audience. And Jesus is comes out of Seattle, and it's a mixture of Blue Dynamite and White Widow. It has
Jesus was born in Seattle.
It has a pungent
indica, right?
Now it's a hybrid like most strains these days. It makes you happy, but also relaxed and gives you a feeling of being uplifted. Look, I had some Jesus the other night after I got in a car accident, and I can tell you it really helps you take away all your worries. So,
and it doesn't nail you to the couch either, right?
No, it is perfect balance of calming and energizing. So I think it's definitely something that they have it here in the DC area. You should definitely check it out if it's available in your local legacy market, or if you can find it at the MMTCs in Florida. By all means, start making requests if you're a patient. And then go ahead, Gary. My fault.
I was just saying that hopefully if you do get it at one of the MMTCs, they actually do follow the original terpene and cannabinoid profiles, because sometimes in Florida, the strains aren't exactly what they're supposed to be. Just saying, but we'll get into that later. Go ahead.
That's
you're on the roll here.
And lastly, I want to kind of round this out of this Sunday, Easter morning a strain review, and something that is an oldie but a goodie, lamb's bread. And this was a favorite of Bob Marley. Lamb's bread is a sativa strain, and it provides energetic and uplifting effects. It's perfect for those medical marijuana patients that have chronic stress and depression. Its origins are in Jamaica, and it has a very sticky, dense green bud. I've had some amazing lamb's bread in Colorado, so it definitely is on that high sativa end. The dominant terpene in it is myrcene, so it again will definitely help you with anxiety, and depression, and take away that stress. And as the good Bob said, it is definitely a healing herb. So
share the link here.
And for those of you following along today, we're putting the links to these various strains from Leafly. If you use the Leafly app, they can help you to find out if these strains are available in your local area. So by all means, definitely take a look and see them. On this Easter morning, some folks are going to church, others are here. Like Carlos said last weekend, this is his church. This is how he chooses the fellowship on his days off. And this guy never takes a day off. I mean, the fact that even Chillam's there, he's in Chillam on Easter Sunday here in the rotation, making it happen. But for those of you who have been to church on a Sunday, church usually starts out with a little bit of opening ceremony. And then, of course, there's readings from the Bible. And Gary, I'm gonna read a reading from the Tanakh, which is the Hebrew Bible.
Yes.
The Old Testament for those Christians who, I don't like to call it the Old Testament. That's assuming that necessarily the Jews' story is outdated. No, I think it's all relevant, and this comes from the book of Exodus, which is one of the books of Moses. This is Exodus 30:22, as I'm going to read now. And for those of you who have King James versions, you may not be able to follow along exactly with the translations, but there are some versions that have the correct translations in this, and I'm going to read it to you now. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, also take fine spices of liquid myrrh, 500 shekels, and of fragrant cinnamon, half as much, and even 250 of Kaneh Basem, 250, and of cassia, 500, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, and a hin of olive oil. And you should make it into a holy anointing oil, a perfume compounded after the art of the perfumer. And it shall be a holy anointing oil. And you shall use it to anoint the tent of the meeting, the ark of the covenant, the table and all its articles, the lampstand and its accessories, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offerings with all its utensils, and the basin with its base. You shall sanctify them that they may be most holy, and whatever touches them shall be holy. You shall anoint Aaron and his sons, and sanctify them that they may minister to me in the priest office. And you shall speak to the children of Israel, saying, this shall be a holy and anointing oil to me throughout your generations. So, what is this passage telling us? Well, this is God literally giving the recipe for the holy anointing oil for the Ark of the Covenant, which is the ark that many of you see the Nazis always chasing after in Indiana Jones movies. But that is the box that Moses took the stone tablets, which God wrote the 10 Commandments with his own hands and gave to Moses on Mount Sinai, and they put them in the ark. And the ark was the artifact. They walked around the city of Jericho, and the walls came down, due to the power of the ark. And so in reading this, there's one clear passage in there where they talk about Kaneh Basem. And Kaneh Basem is an Aramaic word in origin, and it is essentially has been translated by modern linguists to mean cannabis in Latin. And they get this because during the mid-19th century, we're talking about the 1850s here, there was a lot of British excavations in modern-day Iraq, Iran, Syria, which at the time was under the rule of the Ottoman Turks in the Ottoman Empire. And so much of the ancient Near East history was literally buried in the sand until, British archaeologists or grave robbers, whatever you want to call them,
Raiders,
looters and raiders, decided to go there, and they discovered the library of Ashurbanipal, which was an Assyrian king who had basically accumulated a huge library of much older civilizations, Babylonia, Acadia, Sumeria, of the ancient Near East, of which the ancient Hebrews were in captivity, in attacked by many of those countries, but in particular in captivity in Babylon for several hundred years. And so we see the origins of this word Kaneh Basem in these much older, translations and much more authentic and closer to the sources. And so, while the King James Bible may translate it as a fragrant cane, it's a Semitic word that has been around for hundreds of years and has meant cannabis in the ancient Near East. So, Gary, although I am not a Jew and I'm not a rabbinic scholar, how'd I do there on that explanation?
You did pretty good, although the ancient Aramaic actually does translate directly to fragrant cane, which made a confusion for historians, because it was basically shown as fragrant cane from the east. Of course, cannabis came from the mountains of Asia, and so therefore that came out there. But also, so did cinnamon. So the question is whether fragrant cane meant fragrant smelling cane, which would mean cannabis, or fragrant tasting cane, which would mean cinnamon. And so there was confusion about that. Although I really like the story that it was cannabis, because it makes perfect sense to me.
As well.
I mean, they had to the high priest, who was Aaron. He had to enter the tabernacle, which is where the ark was. And in order to enter that space, you had to be a holy man. Otherwise, you would burn revelation once God was tuned into to his radio, which is what the ark was. And so they would cover Aaron from head to toe with the anointing oil before putting on his robes and putting on his about 40 pounds of rocks and gold that he had to wear when he went in there. And they would tie a rope to his ankle so that in any case that the oil started wearing off, they would yank him out of there so he wouldn't be burned with revelation. But think about the interesting buzz. Now, you guys use topicals all the time. Can you imagine taking a topical and putting it onto yourself from head to toe? You will see God, whether he's there or not. It kind of reminds me of when I went to the Disneyland, and did the
Disneyland is
Space
in
Mountain,
California.
Yeah, exactly. I was in California, and I went on Space Mountain, decided to go ahead and use some psilocybin beforehand.
Well,
I thought the ride was excellent. I found out later on that day. But it was still a very engaging experience.
So you didn't even go on the ride?
No, but
you went on the ride in your mind, which is what's important.
Which is cheaper sometimes.
Yeah, a lot better. I mean, you still went. Did you even get into Disney?
Yeah. and we didn't get kicked out either, which was good.
Good.
Well,
man, I'm gonna go to Disney World on mushrooms.
Disney World on mushrooms. I don't know. I mean, you might have a bad trip when you see Mickey take his his head off, and he's not a mouse, but he's Mexican.
Right. Maybe I have like a real revelation, and I'm like, I am Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. But in the meantime, in the land of Egypt, where they knew not Joseph, there was many mummies that were actually buried with, as we've seen through electron spectrometry, a keef packed into the wrapping of various mummies. So it was definitely used at that time as part of holy works, both in the Egyptian religions as well as the Western religions, which began in the East. Can you call them East-West religions?
That's interesting. I'm going to smoke keef before I see my mummy for Easter.
That works out well, I suppose.
Yeah, it does.
Some of the Thracians and even their Scythian precursors before them, according to some of the ancient Greek historians, said that they, in their funeral rites, the entire village and community would gather, and they would burn the body in the central square of the village, and they would throw pounds of cannabis onto the funeral pyre. They would breathe in the smoke, and it would help alleviate their sorrow for the lost loved ones that they have.
I'm interested in finding out when like smoking was invented, because like that had to waste a lot of weed. So like, when did somebody realize like, let's roll this up in paper, dude, and just like light the end of it and inhale it?
Well,
or put it in a pipe.
They did discover golden pipes of the Egyptian pharaohs. They had some really nice. Cleopatra actually was buried with a really nice one. So
And by the way, they found pipes in Shakespeare's backyard when they were excavating not too long ago.
Really?
With traces of cannabis in it. So you go, Shake.
Man, everybody smokes weed.
I mean, everybody, right?
Except for my parents.
It's interesting because a poll recently done, National Normal released it. 75% of Americans are against cannabis prohibition. Less than a quarter of the country actually still wants to hold this line on cannabis prohibition. And I have a inkling of which group or demographic this might be.
Pray tell, who do you think it might be?
Well, I'd like to speak directly to this demographic by coming to their level and speaking with them. So my next thing that I'm going to do is read from the Gospel of Matthew. And to those of you evangelical Christians out there, this is for you.
So we're talking about evangelical Christians.
Is this the part where we bring in the snake?
I just want to be clear.
I'm not certain.
So for all of you listening, you can take value of the gospel reading as you will, but I'm going to now read from the Gospel of Matthew. For all of you evangelical Christians out there who may still be on the fence. If you're someone who has the family member that fits this, by all means, feel free to share this video with them and go do your research and read from the Bible yourself. I always find it interesting to call evangelicals to the carpet with their own scripture. But this is the gospel according to Matthew 25:40. Most certainly I tell you, because you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me. Then he will say also to those on the left hand, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire, which is prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you did not give me food to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not take me in. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. And then they will answer, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger or naked, or sick or in prison, and didn't help you? And then he will say to them, saying, most certainly I tell you, because you didn't do it to one of the least of these, you didn't do it to me. These will go away into the eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life.
And what was the eternal punishment at the time?
Well, the eternal punishment is that on the day of judgment, Jesus will separate the righteous from the unrighteous, and the unrighteous will be cast into the lake of fire with the devil and his fallen angels.
What a compassionate Lord.
Well, I think all in all, Carlos, my takeaway from this passage is that America is sick, and the Christian call to compassion obligates the faithful to act. Chronic pain and illness now affect tens of millions of Americans, and in the cases of many, it causes them to elude the brightest medical minds of their debilitating conditions. People have cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's. And to fight these ailments, Americans have been overprescribed mind-altering antidepressants that are highly addictive. The pain relievers and the opioids have caused a public health epidemic, and all manner of legal substances with a list of side effects that are so long the commercials feel like a Saturday Night Live skit. There's no reason for me to take something that's supposed to help me with depression, but may cause anal leakage and suicidal thoughts. And so we continue to witness. Yes, and we continue to witness the injustices of these disparities firsthand in working class communities, particularly the targeting of Black and Latino communities across the nation when it comes to cannabis prohibition. And there are people who have served 25, 30 years for nonviolent drug offenses, while corporate cannabis makes billions selling it as a health supplement. American Christians, now is the time. You have to stop being the last ones to the table and have discussions like these. Given the proven racist intent of the war on drugs and the criminalization of marijuana, it's time for Christians to start thinking critically about this issue and not just default to abstinence and run to their safe zone. We need to start having the hard conversations. And if you're a believer, you need to have other conversations with other believers around this. You cannot sit up there and profess to be a Christian and support cannabis prohibition. They're antithetical to your faith and to your ideals that you say you're supposed to stand for. So be not a hypocrite. Don't be one of those tossed into the lake of fire. Let's release the prisoners. Let's expunge the records of those who have been targeted by this racist war on drugs. And on that note, National Normal is actually has a petition that you can sign right now to help move along the expungement bill here in the state of Florida. Now, Gary, why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about this expungement bill and why it's so important for us to get this passed here in the state of Florida?
Basically, it states that if you were caught with misdemeanor and in your background of possession, you can petition to go ahead and have your record expunged, which is so important for so many people, because with it on your record, you'll be amazed as to how many things you are denied, including everything from scholarships to apartments and things of that sort. And so by taking this out and making it less expensive than it currently is right now, because you can actually get your record expunged, but as those people who have tried doing it before, it takes a lot of money and it takes connections. And this will eliminate those barriers. And it has so far gone through its first two committees, which is wonderful, with only one no vote. The third committee hasn't happened yet, but it comes soon. But I am concerned because of the fact that there is supposed to be a House bill that was done by Representative McCurdy, which has yet to see its first committee. And that is one of the ways that our legislature actually throws us a bone, lets us go ahead and debate a topic, and then still kill a bill at the same time. So we need to make certain that not only does it go forward in the Senate where it is right now, but it needs to go forward in the House. And that is what we need to work on. The other, Chris?
For those of you at home, you can check out the link here, fill out the petition. It'll automatically determine who your state representative and state senator are based on your, where you're at, in the state, and send an email to them. And I think it's important that when you see these action alerts, when you get them, take the 1 minute that it takes to fill it out. It makes all the difference. I've worked in the Florida state legislature. I can tell you that many times legislators are operating in a bubble for all the great reading and news and being up to date of what's going on in Florida. Many times they'll look at before they take a vote and they'll say, well, what kind of calls have we got in the office? What kind of emails have we got? And, they'll look at it and be like, okay, well, looks like more people are in favor or against. And I've seen, those type of decisions be made based off a tick sheet. When you got 5 for, and 2 against. Well, it looks like the rep's probably going to go with what the majority of people want. So I think it's important to everybody, please, please, please fill this out. Get the word out to your state representatives, state senators, to expunge, these convictions that people have had from this unjust war on drugs. And on that note, there's been a lot of progress this week. This is a historic week for cannabis reform in Virginia,
but not in Florida.
Yes, you say that, Carlos. Yes.
Okay. All right, because I was kind of wondering when you said that.
Yes, it is a historic week across America, but not here in Florida. And for those of you who want to read more about it, you can check out our latest blog on suncoastnormal.org. You can go to our Facebook page. You can read more about why Florida is lagging behind. But I want to highlight 2 key states that are so important towards bringing down prohibition. Number 1 being Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, the former home of the Confederacy, is actually legalizing cannabis. And this is why I say elections matter, because 2 years ago, I knocked doors here in the DMV to help turn Virginia triple blue. That was my political affiliation, and that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Democrats in control of the House, the Senate, the governor's mansion. And because of that, they had the right allies in the Democratic Party to push that through. And now we're seeing that they're going to have the ability to grow at home, to expunge past records, to have personal possession. Now, the state legislature in Virginia has delayed the rollout of the adult use market until 2024, but the governor of Virginia, who in his power, sent back amendments to the state legislature, which they're going to vote on when they come back from Easter break, that will actually start and roll out the system July 1st. So there's no reason for people to have to wait to grow their own plants. There's no reason for police to stop, people. And shout out to Virginia NORML and Michelle Pendini for all the great work that they've done. Last year, they got a bill passed where police cannot use the smell of marijuana as an excuse to stop you and search your car. So, all in all, addressing how marijuana is policed is vital in moving forward with legalization bills. So shout out to the folks in Virginia for becoming the first state in the South to adopt adult use. This is a historic movement here. I know it's pretty cool to see that happening. And then the biggest news, the Big Apple, the Empire State, New York has legalized the adult use of cannabis. The NYPD has been on the front lines of the racial war on drugs.
The stop and frisk movement.
The stop and frisk policies of the NYPD over decades put more black and brown men in jail than any other policy that you can.
Bro, that was a real problem. I had some pretty good friends on the Upper West Side, and going and visiting them in the city, it's shit. You're in the subway, you're walking down the street, a cop stops you, like you're done. You're done.
So what you're saying is that whoever is in the governor's office, in the executive mansion, does make a difference in regards to leading policy, if not changing policy.
Excuse me, I gotta get the phone.
Ralph Northam is not Ron DeSantis.
No, Ron DeSantis, while he said he would not support the THC caps, did suggest that the cannabis available today is too strong. And to all the medical patients watching here today, I'm pretty sure you would tell Ron DeSantis he can take a long walk off the short skyway. Because the fact is that the potency of cannabis is related to the medical value of it. And my puppy wants to co-sign that. This is Sansa, and she says yes. Right? Right, baby? Legalize it. I know it. Sansa says legal. For those of you watching on video, Sansa here, the American Bulldog says legalize it. And
there you
go. If you want to see yourself make it to a second term, we suggest that in this upcoming legislative session for 2022, you get your act together and you make it a priority of your administration. Otherwise, we will see you for what you really are, and that is an enemy to the patients, and we will vote your ass out of office.
Well, I came in a serious moment.
Well, we're talking about how the governor makes a difference in regards to policy and things of that sort.
Makes a huge difference. And I mean, like we were saying, I really kind of want to weigh in on this because Virginia, I would be scared as a Hispanic man being in Virginia. Just saying. All right. Like, I would assume that is a very racist, very backwards, very conservative state. And as we were talking about, New York is the home of the stop and frisk. Mm-hmm. And now they got weed, and I gotta fucking spend $95 for a gram of rosin, and I gotta go see a doctor every 7 months, and spend $300 each time. Every year I gotta pay the Department of Health $75. I can't open up a dispensary.
Meanwhile, you can now grow 3 plants in the state of New York.
What did they say that Florida is a purple state? They're saying that there's some blue influence in here.
Well, South Florida usually is blue, and so is Hillsborough County, mostly Pinellas County. You can forget the entire panhandle, but we do, in Orlando, we do have major concentrations of blue, but the rest of it being red makes it really kind of purple. It gets close to it.
You know what? I'm going to blame this. All right. I'm going to blame this on the Cubans. All right. And I can say that because I'm Cuban. All right. Because you just said that South Florida is blue, but the Cuban population in South Florida, especially the ones from the island, are extremely conservative. Yeah. I know this. My parents and I have a very strange relationship because of this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Cubans are fucking up the state. They're the ones that are keeping Ron DeSantis in the governor's mansion, right? And they're the reasons why there's still a cartel over marijuana in Florida. A little oligarchy, right? Oligopoly, whatever it's called. And they're the reasons why New York isn't frisking me when I get on the subway, right? And allowing me to fucking smoke weed in New York City.
Now, I know
wouldn't it be cool to smoke weed in like the Empire State Building or like in
New York?
That was really being high, yes.
So in regards to New York, this is important. I read an internal memo from the NYPD. Don't ask me how I got access to internal NYPD memos, guys.
Shady.
But I read down the internal memo
on the wall there at the post office.
They're instructing their officers to not arrest or harass anyone smoking cannabis where you can smoke cigarettes. So that includes your car, that includes public sidewalks, public parks, anywhere you can smoke a cigarette in New York, essentially, which is not a lot of places because New York's one of those states where it's $15 for a pack of Newports,
Yeah. You can really like smoke cigarettes on the sidewalk in New York City.
There's a couple of states there's a couple of states that actually do allow public use in using the same laws as the clean air laws, the tobacco laws. The entire country of Canada also utilizes the tobacco laws as the method of placement for cannabis use, which is wonderful, except for the fact that in Canada during the winter, it's really kind of cold to stand outside so that you can actually imbibe. And if you had say for instance, a consumption lounge or something like that, people having to go out on the patio, brush off the ice and snow, and then sit down, and then it's not as comfortable. Here is Florida; we can go any place because of the weather, but can we really? We really have no public use here in Florida. It says you can only smoke in a private.
Wait a minute, that's interesting because you can, like I was saying before, you can only smoke cigarettes on the sidewalk in New York City. And if they can't stop you for smoking weed where you smoke cigarettes, right?
I think
that's public use. Holy shit, you can smoke weed on the streets of New York City.
Yes. But here in Florida, if you the only place you can smoke is in your home, and then again, it's only if you own your home because your landlord can kick you out if they so choose, because that is allowed under Florida law.
So Gary, that's why you've drafted a patient bill of rights that you submitted to the legislature, which unfortunately, because of realities, what Carlos was talking about earlier, the Florida GOP has killed any good bills this session in regards to expanding cannabis. Am I correct?
That's right. And also, of course, the other bill that they really killed this last week, so far anyway, has been our employee protection bill, which was an excellent bill. It was filed. It was based on the fact that if you are using cannabis in the state of Florida, you officially have a disabling condition, and so therefore your workplace should give you accommodations and allow you to use your medicine.
Mhm.
However, we still have a Florida drug-free workplace law, which goes against that, and that's what needs to be corrected so we can move this forward. But so far, Ray Rodriguez, in his ultimate wisdom, in the 6-member government employees committee that he's on, has blocked the employee protection bill from going on board. Now, there's 2 people who are in charge of that committee: Ray Rodriguez and Joe Gruters. That's the chair and co-chair of that committee, who are blocking it from being able to be heard even the very first time. We need to contact these guys and tell them that we need to open this debate. We need to move it forward. We need to be discussing this, because there are so many people impacted. Because believe it or not, Ray Rodriguez had said to Senator Polsky, who had filed the bill, that he felt that this was not an issue in the state of Florida, that people never have a problem with workplace interfering with their being able to use their medicine. And that is just false. We have so many stories of people who have left a job, even ones that have hit the headlines recently here in the state of Florida. Teachers, nurses, things of that sort, who were caught using, and not necessarily because they were using it on the job, but because of the fact that something happened during the course of their job that forced them to take a blood test, and they had to say, I have a medical card. I use this on weekends, whatever, to take care of my disease. And these guys are losing their jobs, or they're being denied a job in the first place if they have a medical card, and that is just plain wrong. And it's something we have to fix it. And if Ray Rodriguez and Joe Gruters were in their bubble, we need to go over there and pop that bubble.
I vow, as a business owner, never to fire somebody for smoking weed. And I actually have policies here at Chillum Glass Gallery CBD dispensary that allow my employees to consume their medical marijuana while on the clock. Actually, yeah, that's important. It's a constitutional right. Business owners here in Florida have the ability to take away a constitutional right to somebody's medicine.
And this goes all the way up to federal government. We had
And that's just malarkey.
Malarkey, yeah. Speaking of malarkey, we had Justin Streckle up here last weekend, and we discussed the fact that it's been in the news that there are people who work in the White House staff who are asked to resign because of previous cannabis use. And people were saying, how is that unfair? Why is Biden targeting these people? And the answer is they are just following previous policy. This is actually a policy that came from the Reagan years. So every single administration from Reagan on up has dealt with the same policy, which basically states that you cannot meet the standards of a security level check in order to work in the White House. They actually did give staffers the opportunity to work from home so they could continue working, so they wouldn't have to go into the White House, because the only way to get in the White House, unless you're Jared Kushner, is you have to be eligible for full security clearance. And at this point in time, thanks to the ruling from the Reagan administration, that's just not possible. So we have a lot of work to do, both on the national level all the way down to the state. We can handle the state here, but we can't do the federal as much over here.
Gary, it infuriates me to hear that. And the only thing that comes to mind is a quote from Huey P. Newton, founder and former chairman of the Black Panther Party. And that is, fuck Ronald Reagan.
Nice.
Well, I grew up in Detroit, and we had Mayor Coleman Young, who once called Reagan a prune face, and he was asked to apologize, and he said, "I'd like to apologize to President Prune Face."
Well, again, we say all this not to get partisan and political, but understand that elections matter. And if you keep electing people that are out of touch with their constituents and people who are influenced by big tobacco, big alcohol, big pharma, you're going to see these things continue to remain the status quo. And Florida is the status quo right now. There are some key politicians in Florida who want to move things along. There's Nikki Fried, our agricultural commissioner. There's Senator Randolph Bracey, who's sponsoring the expungement bill. There's our ally in the House, Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith, who has been down for us since day one, since he stepped in. There's Representative Anna Escamani. On the Republican side of the aisle, there's Senator Jeff Brandis. And And so these are the folks who want to move cannabis policy forward, but they are not enough. There's not enough. As you can see, there's only one Republican on that list, and he's going to be terming out soon as chairman of the Judiciary Committee. We could get someone way worse that will schedule a hearing on THC caps. So these midterm elections in 2022 are going to shape the future of Florida, and it's important for you all to update your voter registration, get registered if you've never voted before, and contact us. We'll show you where to volunteer, how to volunteer, where to plug in at. But we are going to have a robust voter education and voter outreach for the 2022 midterms. And we hope to see some real change in Florida moving forward by electing cannabis reformers to high office. And I'm glad we have one in the cabinet with Nikki Fried, but one is not enough. We need the governor's mansion. We need a CFO who's going to be pro-cannabis. We need an attorney general who is going to enforce our constitutional rights. And I'm sorry, but Ashley Moody is not doing it. She is not going to bat and suing the patients. She's too busy suing the federal government over policies that really have no effect on the everyday lives of Floridians.
Nikki does have a town hall meeting, a virtual one, this week, I believe, with Brandis and Guillermo Smith and Bracy and one other person, people who have been pushing these bills forward. We can post a link to it later on so you guys can listen in. And by all means, chime in. If you go to the town hall virtually, give them what you feel, what that we need to. They need to know. They need to hear from you. This is a representative government, and they're supposed to be representing us and not necessarily the special interests. But if they don't hear from us, they don't know what we're thinking. Believe it or not. That's the way you pop their bubble. Let them know I'm a constituent and this is my problem and you are my representative and this is what you need to do. But they won't know that if you don't contact them. And that's what it comes down to. Don't expect them to automatically know how you're thinking or how you're feeling just from watching the news. Because a lot of times they have somebody who comes to their office after you leave with a check for their campaign or for their PAC that may not be working in your best interests. I mean, even this cap, to an extent, may have possibly even gotten some kind of funding from the MMTCs because it may just increase their sales. In fact, actually, during the time that the cap has been discussed, sales have been up. So more power to those guys. I'm not certain if there's an exact connection there because there's not always correlation and causation there, but it's a possibility. But that's the kind of games they play with in regards to politics. Make certain your representatives represent you. That's the important thing.
Yep. Well, our friends over at the Florida Cannabis Action Network on tomorrow, Monday at 11 a.m. are going to be doing a Facebook Live town hall with Kathy Jordan. And for those of you who don't know Kathy, Kathy was really the first, cannabis patient here in Florida that challenged the system. She took her case all the way to the Florida Supreme Court before there was ever a medical marijuana system, saying that, she's outlived 4 of her doctors who told her she would die by utilizing her medical cannabis. And her husband, Bob, were raided, by the authorities. And to see someone who's in a wheelchair with a debilitating medical condition like Kathy, to have to spend that energy where she should be focused on healing and getting better and really have to trailblaze a path for us to come behind her and sue the government. Kudos to Kathy for setting the example, for being who she is. If we're looking at saints of Florida cannabis reform, she's definitely up on that list. But our friends at the Florida Cannabis Action Network will be joined by Kathy and Commissioner Nikki Fried at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And then following that, Nikki Fried at noon is hosting a Marijuana in Florida town hall. Herself, Senator Bracy, who I mentioned, Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith, and Senator Jeff Brandis to talk about where we go forward. So I think it's important that we're getting all of our cannabis allies in the room to talk about why things have stuttered this legislative session and why Governor DeSantis, the current Speaker of the House and the current Senate President in Florida, are just not the leaders that we need right now. What we need are leaders who are going to expand patient protections. You know, Gary has drafted an amazing Patients Bill of Rights that these legislators should be taking up. We've written and co-sponsored and co-authored together an amazing employment protection bill, which has been watered down just to make it palatable. And then Senator Ray Rodriguez won't even give it a hearing in committee. You know, Gary wrote an awesome bill for tourist reciprocity. So many people, millions of tourists come to Florida for medical marijuana states every single year. And, you know, you come on vacation and you're leaving on probation because you have to go to the OG market. You have to go to the legacy market because Florida medical marijuana treatment centers do not recognize out-of-state patients. And so tourist reciprocity is another issue that we have here in Florida. All these great issues. And we have been distracted with THC caps. And Gary is right. He said it time and time again. This is the distraction. This is the big show. So we, the people, won't be upset over them not doing shit, over them sitting on their asses. Because this is what it is. It is the Florida legislators' leadership sitting on their asses and taking checks from big pharma, taking checks from big tobacco, taking checks from the private prisons, while we, the patients, we, the people, suffer at the hands of an unjust criminal justice system when it comes to cannabis prohibition, an inept and corrupt medical marijuana system, and it is not right. Patients deal with high costs. They deal with limited supply. They deal with shitty, powdery, moldy, mildew medicine from some of these MMTCs. And in the grand scheme of things, Governor DeSantis, all he has to say about it is, well, I gave you smokable flower, but I still think it's a little bit too strong. Well, I say to you, Ron, you're an ass face. You are an ass face. And in the end of the day, I'm sorry, my decorum is going out of the window with this. I'm passionate about this issue because my own father suffered and died from a terminal form of dementia. And while you fuckers were sitting on your ass debating on whether or not this was right, he never got a chance to even get access to the legal market. And the fact that Mark Ober tried to throw 5 years at me for being a good son to save his dad. You know, the fact that the state attorney thought it's okay for that to happen, to put people in jail, put caregivers in jail, that has to stop, which is why I'm glad we have a new state attorney in Andrew Warren who's reform-minded. I'm glad that we have an agricultural commissioner, Nikki Fried, who's willing to treat this as the plant that it is. But we have to get these ass faces out of office. We have to get these lazy fucks out of office. And now I'm sorry if you think my language is harsh. What I find more harsh is the fact that there are patients.
He is an ass face.
I find it more harsh that there are people sick and dying while these legislators sit on their ass and take checks from these other.
You know, when they passed smokable flower and Ron DeSantis did that press conference with John Morgan and that big political dance that they did,
and Matt Gaetz,
right? And oh gosh.
We'll get to him in a second, Gary.
We'll get to him. But no, they did that press conference with John Morgan, and Ron DeSantis, you could see him kind of like while he was talking, he'd said that there was a cartel over medical marijuana in Florida, and he like kind of bit his tongue like right after he said it. He didn't really acknowledge it. Yeah. But
he just realized, oh shit, I'm not going to get a campaign check now from that MMTC.
I fucking heard it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, he's like, oh shit, I just spoke the truth when they're fucking writing me a check. Yeah, you know. And so I mean that at least to me acknowledges that shows me that he acknowledges that there's something fucked up going on in Florida's cannabis system.
We've had a lot of
and he's not fucking it's kind of the reason why I don't believe in God, because like there's a lot of bad shit going on that he knows about it and he ain't stopping it. You know what I mean?
Well, and also so God does not have civil citations either, I understand. You just straight to jail, you can't even pay your way out.
The Catholics tried that.
He sends you to hell, bro.
The Catholics tried that with
an eternity of fire and brimstone.
Is purgatory like a civil citation for hell? I don't know.
More of a ritual purification of the soul before it can move on to the next part. I'm not sure. I can't.
But Ron DeSantis is certainly an ass face.
Well,
you're perfectly justified, man. I got your back on that, Kano.
He's confused on a lot of issues. He once said in his campaign during his campaign that everybody who was smoking cannabis in high school became ne'er-do-wells and didn't go very far. Well,
Really?
we're talking about medical cannabis here, and we're not talking about kids in high school smoking it.
Well,
And in regards to the high school that Ron DeSantis went to, I think the worst disease those guys had was influenza.
What high school did he go to?
affluenza.
Affluenza. Thank you. That's the word.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Influenza is like a cousin of the Rona. So,
Yeah, affluenza, where basically you're too rich to go to school.
you know, Ron DeSantis has got some big cojones to sit up there and say, oh, you know, people who smoke weed in high school are ne'er-do-wells. I recall a guy who smoked a lot of weed in high school, even started his own gang, if you will, called the Choom Gang. And this guy went on to be president of the United States. And Ron DeSantis, as far as I can tell, is nowhere achieved that level of success that Barack Obama has. So, Ron, you are an ass face for talking shit about potheads.
Don't sleep on Barry O.
Now, we did hear that Ron was considering a presidential run in 2024, and he may go the way of Marco Rubio as far as that's concerned. Just, you know.
How about we vote Ron out of office in 2022 and end his political aspirations to be president and fuck things up on a national level?
I am gonna say this, okay? Like, I am kind of happy that we didn't vote Gil on it. I am gonna say that. Didn't he like do drugs or something like that?
Allegedly, Andrew,
okay.
Andrew was in a Miami hotel with a gay escort when he told his wife he was going to a wedding for the weekend, and they found a whole bunch of drugs. They found him throwing up in there.
He claimed he was just on alcohol that night.
Maybe he drank all that alcohol because he lost. Maybe if he won,
maybe
he got addicted to drugs.
Maybe he got roofied. I don't
maybe.
know. Point
Who knows?
being is this: the indiscretions of these politicians. You know, in many cases, I'm never shocked these days. You know, I recall a few years back a New York State assemblyman, when they were debating the same adult use bill, was sat up there and gave a big tirade about how bad weed is and how it destroys children's minds. And then he got arrested during the recess, hotboxing his car in the parking garage. So the hypocrisy of these politicians knows no bounds. One in particular is the high and mighty Matt Gaetz, who, although he was the author of the Compassionate Care Act here in Florida, which opened the door to even creating a medical marijuana system, and he was there with John Morgan and Ron DeSantis around smokable flower. Most recently, Gaetz is now in the news this week for allegedly using his Apple Pay to buy hookers and to solicit underage girls to come up to DC and mess around with him. Not to mention he's been outed this week as showing nude selfies and sexting pics of the women that he smashed to his fellow members on the House floor. Gentlemen, don't be like Matt Gaetz. If you ever get into office and a woman sends you a naked selfie, keep that in confidence. Don't share it with fellow congressmen. That's a douchebag frat boy move. And as you can see, like Gary said, affluenza is a problem in our upper middle class high schools in this state and in this country. And it just breeds more big douchebag congressmen. So,
I mean, and Don Gaetz, his dad, was in office when we were first working on this bill. And that made the cannabis industry happen. And it didn't really happen until Don Gaetz moved on, went back to Niceville, and we had a new Speaker of the House, a new Senate President after that. But the thing with Matt Gaetz is he abandoned the main two cardinal rules of politics here in Florida. First, number one, never get caught with a live girl or a dead boy. Or is it a dead boy and a live girl? And the second is never leave a paper trail. But
maybe you should not pay for pussy with your Apple Pay. That's a good one too.
The Apple Pay and the Cash App, which nobody has access to know what you're spending it on, right?
I mean,
like screenshots, receipts. I mean, it's just a bad.
He showed up to some event with like a Holocaust denier, right? Like he's
State of the Union.
He's obviously been shown like with the white supremacists, and
he wore a gas mask on the House floor when they first said, "Hey, we should wear masks because the Rona's around." And now, 500,000 dead Americans later, we see this douchebag, and all this coming out. Point being is that if you were listening to all today to any of the sermons or any of the biblical passages we were reading, we can shrink down the words of the good book into one sentence: don't be a douchebag.
That's the golden douchebag rule.
That's the golden rule. But look, all in all, how do we get
douchebags out of office?
Yeah, how do we throw these douchebags out of office, right? How do we do that? Well, we need money. Okay?
Yep.
They are getting money from billion-dollar corporations. And I can tell you right now, after our most recent board meeting, the treasury at Suncoast Normal is nowhere near the billions. So how are we going to fight? Well, we're
still doing pretty good, though.
Yeah, we use our resources smarter, not harder.
But it's nowhere near what they got.
No. Well, we're selling masks. They're putting people in jail for 20, 30 years at $55,000 a year.
Buy your ticket for Best Blunt of the Bay.
Yes, that's what I was going to get to, Carlos, is that if you want to raise money for a good cause in a fun way, that all the proceeds are going to go to criminal justice reform, all the proceeds go to our efforts to legalize it, come out to the Best Blunt in the Bay rolling competition. This is a 420 celebration, and I know people are like, well, why is it not on 420? Because 420 is on a Tuesday, and people with jobs have to work, okay? But if you want to come out on Friday, April 16th, from 7 to midnight at Chillum, right in the heart of Ybor City. We're going to have an amazing time. All right. There are 3 levels of tickets. You can get in for a general admission ticket. All right. You can go to our website. You got the event details there. A general admission ticket actually comes with a 1-year membership to Suncoast Normal. And in that, you'll get your membership package, which comes with the amazing mask that you see Gary on every Sunday.
Yeah.
A normal membership card, and of course your gold leaf member lapel pin. So get your membership card, get your lapel pin, get your mask, become a member of Suncoast Normal by just buying the ticket to come in. Now, if you and your friends feel so inclined, if you're one of those big baller, shot caller, shit talkers, all right, you think you roll the best blunt in the Bay, buy a competitor ticket. Enter into the competition. For $30, you can become a competitor. And we have a new event that's going to be added. We're going to have a teams event. So for a team of 3, for the Best Blunt in the Bay rolling competition for our team events is $75. So if you want to enter in as a team, you get a discount there on your competitor tickets. All of our
That's the thing. It's like, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I've always had this disagreement with every one of my friends on who rolls the best blunt.
I did not disagree with you.
So so that's the thing, though. If you have a friend that says he rolls a better blunt than you, if you got a friend who says that she rolls a better blunt than you, because the ladies like to roll the blunts too, all right, join the contest. The 3 of you, the 4 of you, the 5 of you, whatever, all of y'all, join the contest, right? And then you will fucking have for sure who rolls the best blunt.
That's right.
You will know for sure who's on top of that shit. There's no more shit talking.
Now, we do not have a category, do we? Because that usually takes around 2 days to do it.
Well, we have a 3 blunt. A 3 event Olympiad, if you will. So there's going to be 3 individual rolling events. There'll be 1 team competition, but all in all, we're going to score each event, and the judges will score each event. And that brings me to the judges. There are judge tickets available for $50. The judges get a swag bag in addition to that 1-year membership to Suncoast Normal. And our swag bags actually come with a rolling kit from our sponsors for the competition, which is Club 20 After. Carlos, if you could just flash up Club 20 After, some info about them. Shout out to Club 20 After, based out of Bradenton. You can check out their website. Go ahead and Google Club 20 After. They got their website there on the logo. They supplied, several $100s in rolling kits for this event. So shout out to them. We appreciate y'all for sponsoring the rolling kits for this event. Judges will get one in their swag bag. Competitors will get one to compete with. And I'm pretty excited for this upcoming event. Go to our website, suncoastnormal.org. Check out the event details. There will be masks at this event. If you're an anti-masker, too bad. Wear the Suncoast Normal mask. If you're going to share blunts, share them at your own risk. If you're a judge, understand that you don't have to share blunts with the other judges. The competitors will be rolling blunts for each judge that is there. That's part of the competition.
Wait, I'm confused, Kano. How do the shirts work in? Like, who gets a shirt?
So I'm glad you mentioned that. So we have shirts for this event. The winners of each event will get one of these shirts to prove that they roll with the best in the Bay. And all proceeds, if you want to just buy a shirt yourself, all proceeds go to criminal justice reform. You know, as you can see there on the back, we have our logo at suncoastnormal.org. Legalize it. That's our mission statement, plain and simple.
Legalize.
I recognize those gloved hands. I have a feeling we're going to have a problem with that organization.
Nah, man.
No, that
They
actually
don't own gloved hands.
Yeah, they don't own glove hands.
You know?
Tell
That's a pretty good shirt there.
That's a great shirt.
And those shirts are available for $25, 2 for $40. If you DM us on social media, whether that's Instagram or Facebook, you can put in your pre-order for your shirt. Just send us how many shirts you want and in what sizes, and we will have your shirts reserved for you for pickup at the event. We are very excited for the Best Blunt in the Bay. Again, Friday, April 16th, over at Chillum in Ybor City. If you want to be a judge, by all means, get your judge tickets now before they sell out. April 9th, which is the end of this week,
I would think would be the best thing. I'm sorry again, Ken.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one, you know.
The judges
I can feel his excitement from here.
That's the best thing. And for $50, you literally you get to smoke like a shit ton of fucking blunts.
Yes. And
that's the thing.
Our competitions, you're going to be rolling hemp wraps, you're going to be rolling papers, you're going to be rolling a leaf, and then we're going to have the final grand finale is a freestyle competition where you let your creativity soar. If you can roll me an X-Wing or a TIE fighter, I will smoke that shit. Okay, I'm pretty excited for that. If you want to roll a cross joint in memory of your Lord and Savior, by all means. Point being is that we want to see the grand finale, the top 3 scorers after our 3 Olympic events will move on to the grand finale, and we will finally see and settle once for all who rolls the best blunts in the Bay. So come on out. We're going to have music. We're going to have food. We're going to have some amazing vendors out there. We're also going to have some awesome products and some educational resources. You will not want to miss this event. And if you're already a Suncoast Normal member, you get in free. That's the best part about this.
I just want to point out what we're going to be rolling.
Is that your Easter basket?
In the event. That's what the judges will be smoking right there.
Oh, what is that, Carlos? What strain?
That's purple.
I can smell it from here. I can use that as a car deodorizer for my car.
Yes, you can, Gary. I'll give
Carlos,
you a nugget. You just put it under your seat.
Some of our contestants were concerned that it's all CBD. You want to give us a cannabinoid breakdown of that flower there you got?
Okay. I ran to the oh geez.
No, that's not you. That's me.
There we go. I ran to the closet and I'm fat. But
that's PHAT.
So this is Purple Kush, my good buddy Jonathan Perkle. Hooked chill him up with this one. And this is indeed hemp. Right, so it's completely legal. I'm allowed to be shining this around Ybor City because it's completely legal. And it's about, oh man, I gotta stop running. You know, it's about 14% CBD and approximately about 6% Delta 8 THC. So this does give you a buzz, right? And it's very similar to the cannabis high. It's just a little bit more mellow. Less chance of paranoia, less chance of anxiety.
But very terpy.
Right, and very terpy. Gary, you can smell that, right? What's that smell like?
Myrcene, pinene, and some limonene.
And I have no idea what you just said. Terpenes, that's what that smells like.
Carlos, we got some folks tuning in saying they want to become Suncoast Normal members. How can they do that? Can you
flash that question, Bob?
That's a great question. Crystal says, I want to be a
Crystal.
Suncoast. Yeah.
All right.
So show Crystal how she can join Suncoast Normal.
So check this out, Crystal. You go over to right over here. And as a matter of fact, I'm getting really good at navigating.
As long as people keep on putting on Matt Gates, you'll scare the children.
Okay, so here's how you become a member of Suncoast Normal. First
I-
off, this
I
guy's
would-
a pedophile.
Yes, I would trust my child to spend
A
the
card
night.
carrying member of Q, right?
I would trust my child to spend the night at Michael Jackson's house at a party that Bill Cosby catered before I would trust my child with Matt Gates. Okay.
So
Yeah, that's quite a high bar.
so here's what you can do. You can become a member of Suncoast Normal by going online to our website. We are on the interwebs at suncoastnormal.org. And you can just go right there by typing in suncoastnormal.org/membership, right? And this is what you'll see when you do that. Right? You can become a Gold Leaf membership pen member for $25 just by coming here and clicking here. You can even use PayPal.
Gold Leaf and get your membership.
All these credit cards are accepted. I'm gonna set it up where we accept Bitcoin too. But you know, you can become a member here on the website. All the info's right there.
Not the Cash App.
We could do Cash App, I think. I don't know.
Gates uses a Cash App.
If Gates could do it, we can do it, right?
Absolutely.
But we can't use it for hookers.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that,
You can for
Carlos.
rollers.
We do not take any salary. We do not use any of the funds that come into the organization. As much as I know, you know, folks might think we're rolling in the dough here. All the money does go back into our advocacy efforts and our education efforts for the public. So by all means, your dues are well spent. Again, we're going to continue to put on these great events for our members. So definitely come out to the Best Blunt in the Bay competition. If you're a Suncoast member and you're like, oh, well, you know, I want to get in for free, make sure your membership dues are up to date. Because if we come and it's April the 16th and your membership is out of date, you haven't renewed your dues, you're not getting in for free. You're going to have to purchase a ticket and re-up your dues for the year. But that's okay, because the price of membership is also the price of a general admission ticket. Every general admission ticket comes with a complimentary 1-year membership to Suncoast Normal. This is a win-win for an event. It's a win-win for the community. For those of you who might experience stigmas, you know, this is one of those events that where we're trying to show people is that this is not something that should be stigmatized. It is healing. It is fellowship. It is community. It is something that is a good and wholesome thing. Come on out. You know, bring your friends. Like Carlos said, end the argument. Who rolls the best in your group of friends? Well, DM us if you want to get group tickets right now. We have group tickets available to enter in the competition.
And we can guarantee that Matt Gates will not be there, even though, from what I understand, he actually does use the product on occasion. I don't think he has a card, though.
Well, you know, if he's up here in the DMV, he probably buys a lot of stickers. And then he gives them to these young girls, and that's just not right.
We'll work on that later on. So will think there'll be any politicians there at the Best Blunt in the Bay competition? Because I don't think they will.
Ron DeSantis listens to this podcast. He's not going to be there.
I mean, Grady Judd is welcome to come. He's out of his jurisdiction, so he can
Grady Judd can come by. I'm not worried about that.
No, Grady listens to the rotation. So Grady,
he's been on the news saying that he knows what I do is legal.
Yeah. Grady's not happy that Chillum is the center of reform in Tampa, but you know, I'm glad that I'm glad that Carlos, you're really are a trailblazer in this, and thank you for, you know, giving Suncoast Normal a home. I think that's the most important takeaway. You know, come support Chillum. Not only does your Suncoast Normal membership entitle you to all these great benefits, the card, the pin, the mask, the supporting criminal justice reform, you also get an in-store discount at Chillum. And why would you want to go anywhere else to purchase?
25% off.
You know,
get all this Delta. You get like a cool grav pipe or Cheech pipe for 25% off. You like pipes? Become a member of Suncoast Normal.
Get your papers over at Chillum.
Get papers and vaporizers and Delta 8 THC.
I am so glad we actually came on board today on Easter Sunday, because I feel so godly right now.
Yeah. I'm not even.
Could be what I had for breakfast. I don't know.
I'm not even gonna suggest that we end the show, because I've been liking this. This has been a good Easter Sunday mass.
Well, I was feeling the spirit this morning, and I thought it was important for us to get back to our roots and understanding that cannabis has been part of human culture for tens of thousands of years. And throughout the ups and downs, no matter who's been in power, whether it's the king, the president, or whatever douchebag oligarchs and aristocrats that thumb their nose at it, the common people have always utilized cannabis. And the fact is that we need to get back to a state where working class people are not targeted and preyed upon by the system and by the government, by police for utilizing a remedy that is healing, that is affordable. I mean, the fact that you can grow an anti-anxiety medication, an anti-inflammatory medication in your backyard organically. That is what we're trying to get to. And then to be able to use it as publicly as anywhere people can use cigarettes. So shout out to New York for doing it the right way and allowing people to grow it at home and allowing people to smoke it anywhere they can smoke cigarettes and allowing for expungement and criminal justice reform and for taking whatever tax dollars they may get from a legal adult use market and putting that into the communities that have been hardest hit by the war on drugs. I can tell you right now, the next time I run for office, I have a very simple platform. It's that we legalize it. We take those tax dollars and we turn it into universal basic income. And we start that program and roll it out in the communities that have been most affected by the war on drugs as some type of form of reparations for all the damage that the U.S. government has done with these cannabis prohibition policies.
And so as we get ready to end the program today, we want to open up your hymnals and go to page 45 and let's all sing Legalize It.
Legalize it.
Going to my...
This is why you don't
criminalize.
Don't demonize it.
Doctors smoke it.
Judges smoke it. Nurses smoke it. Legalize it. Don't criticize it.
Somehow you're making me want to go straight to the sermon.
Yeah, like right now, everybody's like, "Oh, thank God this is ending right now."
So, legalize it, and I will advertise it, just like we're.
What is it? Are you going to read from the Bible again, Keno, or should I just click end screen?
No, that concludes our services for this evening. Go in peace. Remember to puff, puff, pass. Do not wet the blunt. And if you are one of those people who get a little lippy with the blunt, you got that saliva in your mouth, Carlos sells these amazing mouthpieces where you can smoke with anybody, especially in a socially distanced atmosphere. You don't want to be sharing blunts with anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers. So by all means, pick you up a mouthpiece so you can smoke anywhere, anytime with anyone. And always remember, the name of the game is legalize it.
And get the facts, get the vax. We want to see you healthy out there so you can continue using.
If you get the vaccine, that means you can smoke more weed, right? That's how I understand it.
You can finally go travel to other countries like Spanibus in Spain next spring. You're going to need your vaccine to travel internationally. The United States blue passport was once accepted in over 180 countries. Now without a vaccine, maybe DR is probably the only place you can go. So, they don't have legal weed in Dominican Republic, but they do get some great bud out of Miami. So the same bud you can find in Miami, you can also find in Santo Domingo. Gorilla Glue No. 4, one of the very popular strains out there, will cost you $100 for a quarter though. So just to give you those international market rates.
Then thank your lucky stars for the prices we have over here.
And finally, to end the show, this guy, Matt Gaetz, is a pet